Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and today we're joined by the wonderful Vanessa Rubio to talk all about the latest season of Netflix's Cobra Kai. And I was interested in how you set up and develop your character within the show, kind of looking back to when you first started on the show in season one, but also how kind of you approach each of the character arcs that are coming for your character in every season in finding the foundational elements, but also leaving a lot of space open for whatever the writers may continue to come up with as they're continuing to write the scripts for the season, because obviously you don't have everything up front when you start shooting a new season of a show.
I wish we did. That's why I started laughing. I was like, oh, that's a dream. That's a lovely thing. Yeah, we don't usually have the last episodes, especially when we start filming this season. But for me, I guess my creative process works best when I write a lot. So I write as the character and then sort of just let myself journal like endlessly about the circumstances, what she wants, the kind of minutia of the beginning of a scene, like where's she coming from? What is she doing in this particular day? And then, kind of having the willingness to just throw it all away at the same time. It's like you have to be precious about it, but not because when you're filming it on the day, it's like so many things could happen and they could switch a scene on you, and then you just have to go with it. But and I love this character, Carmen. She has a lot of grace, dignity, and just I guess I can't come up with a better word than character. She's just a strong person. But yet she has a dichotomy of being delicate and very sensitive at the same time, almost so much so that she's afraid to show it. It's just with all of those in the creative mix, I just kind of try my best to get in there and do the work when I get up and do the work.
And you're bringing up there that dichotomy of her as a character where, she has to kind of hold a lot of strength, not just for herself, but for her son, and particularly as a single parent, she's shouldering all of that by herself, and she doesn't always have an outlet for it. She can't always let Miguel into everything that's going on. And, we're starting to see that in terms of the relationship with Miguel's father at the end of the season and him wanting to go off and find a little bit more. But also, like you said, there are those moments of that delicacy as well and getting to find that. Do the scripts kind of make it easy to find those moments where you want to let those moments of delicacy and vulnerability in? Or is that about the performance on the day and finding where it just kind of naturally seeps out a little bit in the moment?
I would say it's 50-50. It's definitely both. Looking at the scene, you're like, okay, I get what's happening here. I get, where we have to go. And then, of course, working with Billy, who plays Johnny Lawrence, is so wonderful because I think I tell him all the time, I'm like, I'm so lucky. We're both so lucky because we didn't have a chemistry read at all. And we're just like understand each other as actors. And it makes it so much easier because you're able to trust, that you're in a quote unquote safe space with your fellow actor and you can explore and be vulnerable. In some of the like heavier vulnerable scenes, it's kind of, you just have to let yourself go, and there was one scene in season 3, which was like, she's breaking down, crying, like you were saying, she's a single mother. And I think that reality is so wonderful to explore because, sometimes we're like, oh, a single mother is on this pedestal, and it's freaking hard. It's like, she's at a breaking point so many times, and especially being a single mother and a caretaker in season 3. So that scene in particular, I did have a vulnerability hangover after it. And I was just like, oh my God, I just let it, everything out. And in that case, I was very lucky and grateful for the crew and for Billy too, just like holding it down for me emotionally. But yeah, it's wonderful to explore both of them. And I would say it's definitely 50-50.
And I love that we also get to see the relationship that Carmen has with her mom. And for you, when you first started building her as a character and as the seasons have progressed, have you found that looking at the relationship that she has with her own mother and kind of what that family dynamic is between the two of them also for you informs how she is as a parent to Miguel and kind of the things that are really important for her to impart upon him as a parent?
Yeah, I love the relationship of the Diaz family. I think they're such a cute family. And yeah, Rose, the actor's name is Rosa. She's wonderful, and I feel like she's kind of the lightheartedness. You know, Carmen has to really work and make everything happen life wise, and then she gets to cut loose a little bit with her mother, who's ridiculous. You know, who's smoking pot and all this stuff. but but yeah, the all of those things inform the character. You know, and it's just I feel so lucky to be able to do this, you know, and get paid for it. It's great. I love storytelling and all of its elements, but yeah, the character is kind of like this at the center of all these crosshairs of their other relationships, and it's important to look at all of them.
Yeah. And I also feel like when we look back at the beginning of the show, you know, we were introduced to her as a mother, and as the show has progressed, we've really gotten to see so many other different sides and moments and elements, and particularly with this burgeoning relationship that she has with Johnny as well, you know, that really brings out another element. And it feels like, you know, kind of as Miguel's getting a little bit older, that she's able to kind of step back and allow herself to breathe a little bit more and allow herself to focus on herself a little bit more as well. And that also comes through Johnny being there as kind of a pseudo parental figure in the way that he is to Miguel as well. And so for you, how did that really open up the spaces that you felt like you could take her as a character when it wasn't just that singular focus and you could play to all these different sides of her?
It's fun because I feel like where she started and I guess where she sat with me was in this like survival mode, you know, single mother, gotta do this every single day. And then it's, you know, coming from that extreme to the other extreme of, oh my gosh, I have these deep feelings for this person and they're really helping me. This is what I've been like literally praying for this whole time. It's somebody to help me. It's fun, really fun to explore her unraveling, you know, her, okay, I have to do this. And it's out of her wheel box. It you know, it's probably been years since she's really been dating. And it's just fun to explore because it's so realistic. You know, I think we all go out and put ourselves out there, maybe relationship wise, and we're full of vulnerabilities and insecurities and is this, you know, right for me? But I love exploring that it's unexpected, you know, that she's honestly kind of in denial of these feelings. And when she's going out on a date with him, she's like, oh my God, I really did dress up. Like, what's happening to me? So it's been really fun to see the character and feel the character grow through the seasons.
And I like that with Johnny, she's very aware of his fallibilities, but at the same time, you know, she really does look for the best in people. But I was interested for you in how much you think she knows about certain things and certain tactics that he has with the kids. Like, you know, she probably doesn't know that he set her kids' feet on fire trying to get him to walk, or that he had him in a cement inside of a cement wheel, you know, pushing that, or that he has kids jumping over buildings. You know,
Right.
how much awareness do you think she has of some of the specific things that he's out there doing with the kids that are crossing the lines a little bit?
I don't think she has an awareness of it. And it's almost like my personal choice too, to like protect her, you know, like to keep her looking at Johnny and with these lovey-dovey eyes. I don't think she's aware of those things, which kind of adds to the humor, right, as well. But you know, they're getting closer, hopefully, and maybe she will become more aware of them and you know, maybe have more of a voice there for Johnny.
You're bringing up the comedy there as well, and there's such great comedy between, you know, you and Billy playing Johnny, but there's such a skill for what you're doing because you're essentially playing the straight side of the comedy, and so I was interested in what the unique challenges are in trying to find that type of delivery for the comedy still to land, you know, and also about so much of that being about making the space for what Johnny needs to be able to do within a scene and for him to be able to push the lines a little bit further with his character.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's very hard. And I find I've had to rely on going towards the seriousness of the situation, because if I go the other way, then I'll probably start laughing. And certain scenes have been hard to film. But what makes it easier for me is going towards just the reality of it, because I think she is, right, as you say, the straight man in a lot of these situations, and which makes it funnier, right? Which makes it like, because essentially, like, Carmen is kind of the reaction that the viewer would have if they were walking into this situation, like, what did you just do? Like, but yeah, like, for example, this scene where we're telling Miguel in season 4 that, we're in a relationship. I mean, I was just playing the seriousness of it. Like, what's at stake here? That she breaks her son's heart and he's totally against her. Like, that cannot happen. So that adds to the urgency of the scene, the need, and which also adds to humor, because at the end of the day, it's really funny when somebody really wants something and they're trying their best to get it.
And within that moment of kind of realizing that it's important to her to tell her son, even with knowing what the stakes potentially could be within their relationship and not knowing which direction it's going to go, I love that line that she says about, how for her, like, she just doesn't want to be someone who holds on to secrets. And, knowing that that's a core part of her personality, how does that inform a lot of the interpersonal dynamics and the openness that you always want to bring to her as a character?
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's funny. It's like you know, she's flawed like anybody else. She tries her best, but that can also be a flaw as well, where you're really trying your best, but you're focusing on the outside people and you're not really asking yourself, like, what am I doing in this situation? That's not helpful. And yeah, so the weighing on the secrets is one of her flaws. It takes her a lot to admit something. And I think in that sense is also why she likes Johnny so much, because he lives his life really out there and falls and keeps on getting up. It's like he has an endless energy for 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 taking the punches, literally. And I think she admires that about him, and she kind of is inspired by that. She's like, oh, like, you can make mistakes and you can get back up and it's okay. Like, look at what you're doing. It's, so there's a looseness that I think he injects in her life, which is nice.
And do you think that that kind of idea of like watching Johnny and having him make mistakes but having him learn from them is something that she also feels like that's important for Miguel to see, because she doesn't try to shield him from the mistakes that Johnny's making either, and it feels like that's something that she's very open to her son seeing and learning from in his own way without even directing him like, oh, by the way, you shouldn't do that. She really allows Miguel to kind of navigate and figure that out himself as well.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's also like, that's, for better or for worse, she's into this guy. So she sees that he's not perfect, but she's always rooting for him to be better, so she's kind of lovingly guiding him at the same time. And as well with Miguel, I think she admits to herself that she has been his sole parent for the better part of his life. And I think she's very much open to having another influence in his life.
And I like that, as you were saying, that she's really rooting for Johnny to do better, but at the same time, she's not there as kind of like the nagging girlfriend figure. She's not trying to tell him what he needs to do for her. And even when it comes to him figuring out what the relationship means to him, what his emotional space is within that connection, she just kind of steps back and is like, you come to me, you figure this out, and then you come to me, and then we can have this conversation. Which I think also creates a really open and very real relationship. And so how did that, having elements like that and having that friendship as a foundation for you and Billy, kind of create the foundation of what you wanted to build within this character's relationship as it's starting to develop?
Yeah, it's so great. I think if they have all of the tools they need, right, because of their history, because of the past, the first 3 seasons, And I totally agree with you. Like in season 3, one of my favorite things is that they were able to build a friendship, when they're on the rocks in this season, when kind of holding him at a distance because she sees him as responsible for her son getting hurt, which is very real, right? She has to work through these feelings. And they just keep on getting thrown together, thankfully they're neighbors. It's great. But I think it's a wonderful way to build a relationship, like you said. And plus, on top, her character, like you said, which is one of my favorite things, is that she's very emotionally astute, so, and that was one of the things that became very apparent to me when I'm writing and journaling, because this type of character, English is her second language. The US is her second country. She's done a lot to figure things out, which she has to rely on other things other than verbal language sometimes. She has to like read a situation very quickly. And I think she's just like that. But yeah, she does kind of, she's like, she's like the candle, right? She's like the flame, and she has like a stasis to her, which is like, no, I know who I am. I know what I want. If you're not ready, I'm going to look elsewhere, but I will just be here. I'm not going to like try to change you. Like, I think that kind of adds to probably Johnny's attraction to her as well, because she's not trying to change him. She has faith in him that he will change himself. And she just waits, so it's really nice to see.
And for you, kind of what's the joy when you get to play scenes with Courtney, who plays Amanda LaRusso? Because I love the scenes whenever the two of you are in moments together and they're kind of just standing back being like, look at these two little boys still feuding over something from the 80s. They still can't let it go, and her character is very much on the same page as well, of like, they need to figure it out, but I'm not getting in the middle of it most of the time.
I love it. I can only hope that we have more scenes together. I think, yeah, it's just this like woman bonding thing where they automatically understand each other. And we get to also see another side of Carmen's character, which is like, yeah, I'm just here with, just having girl talk. That's it. We're not necessarily talking about the boys either. So I think there's a nice power in that, and it's very realistic.
And obviously, having been with the show since the beginning and then had that trajectory into becoming a series regular more recently, were there any shifts for you in becoming a series regular? Just even in the fact that you're involved in more scenes, there's more exploration of your character and there's more time on set with the rest of the cast.
Oh God, yeah. Which was also doubly weird because after I became a series regular, we went into filming, but it was like during COVID era. So it was very, very weird. I have to say, one of the strangest like adjustment periods, because I'm adjusting to, more time with the other cast members, more time on set, which is lovely, which is what you want, right, as an actor. But then, we're all wearing masks and 6 feet apart. So it's very, very strange. And also afraid to like even hang out outside of set, because we're like, but we just shot season 5 at the end of 2021, and that went a lot smoother, I have to say. I think we all are a bit more comfortable, with the COVID protocols, and also being able to have fun, because essentially that's what makes a good show and good chemistry and rapport, is just hanging out, essentially.
And it is such a great ensemble cast. And you've mentioned how Ralph really leads the set with a lot of grace in the way that he approaches his work on the show. And in working with everybody that you get to share screen time with, what have you really learned and taken away just from interaction, sharing scenes with them, or even just watching how everybody in the cast is working?
Oh God, I mean, everybody does their best and puts their best foot forward. And yes, it's true, Ralph. Ralph is like so gracious. Him and Billy, I feel like they're like the papas of our production. They're just great. And they're professional, they're seasoned, been there, done that. And so it's kind of like there's just a nice generosity that comes from them both naturally. The kids are endlessly energetic. Oh my gosh, they inject so much energy into the production. I'm like, how do you keep on going? I don't. They're amazing and funny and just so damn cute. Like they're near the end, and we all kind of feel this way near the end. You know, there's like, oh no, we're nearing the end and we're gonna go soon. But like usually the kids when they finish their scenes, they'll just like hang out on set and they're just like hanging out, which I think is adorable.
It's so great, and I love the fact that you've already filmed the next season. So hopefully we'll get more Cobra Kai on our screens sooner rather than later. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for taking the time and sharing all of this, Vanessa. Really
thanks,
appreciate it.
thanks, Mara.